Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 Daily. This is your Thursday night. This show tonight is player bingo, and the way it's going to work is you are going to throw names at us. We're going to give you your opinion on them players, past or present Liverpool players. It can be players from any other club if you want as well. We're not going to tie you down and restrict you tonight. With me tonight is going to be Grizz and Keith, and they are going to give all the reaction and all the reaction to every name you throw in there, or as many as possible. Also, on top of that, if you have any random questions, you can throw them in, and we'll mix them into the show as we go. And here we go. The chat is open, and I have to be honest with you, they're absolutely flying in already. Grizz, I'm going to come to you first, if that's okay, and I'm going to shout at you, Bolo Zenden.
Bolo Zenden. Remind me again where he came from. He came from.
I think he was Dutch. He was with Middlesbrough and he was with Chelsea, and Liverpool signed him on a free transfer.
Where did he come from? Like, I know who he was and everything. I mean, which club did we sign him from? Gav.
I think he may have been with.
He came from Middlesbrough.
I think he may have been with Middlesbrough, and then he.
So he came directly from Middlesbrough, right?
On a free, yeah.
Yeah, I think, he was one of those free transfers that just played like a free transfer. In the end, was neither a bad signing or a good signing. Look, he had his moments. He was technically gifted, as most Dutch players were. I just never thought of him as an impact player. There was no sort of, I always was frustrated with Zenden. Worked hard, tirelessly. There was just no sort of penetration or end product with him. I always found him to be just slightly below pace. Always below pace. And I know pace isn't everything, but in that team under Rafa, power and pace was a must for most of the players, and that's why I was surprised when he signed him. But I don't have any bad memories per se of him, but not many fond memories, which is not a good sign, is it? When you haven't got any outstanding memories of a player, it's not a good sign.
Keith, for me, when the name Bolo Zenden threw up here on the screen straight away, like literally I had the intro out of the way and Bolo Zenden arrived on the screen. I remember, like, he was a free transfer and you thought, yeah, not a bad player, might be a good squad player, but he got an awful lot of not abuse, but kind of negative press from Liverpool fans in the early days of his Liverpool career. I think he scores at home to West Ham and cups his ear to the cop after scoring. But what did you make of him?
Yeah, I was excited enough about him when we signed him, to be honest. But the fact that it was a Bosman we got him on, and I thought good squad player. He had a good pedigree behind him. PSV, Barcelona. I think was he at Chelsea before? Yeah, I think he went Chelsea from Barcelona and then down to ourselves. Like, so he was good, but he just played with injuries. I think that's the overlying thing with Bolo Zenden for me, was constantly injured. I think he only played a handful of games for us in 2 years, but he did score the penalty in the shootout against Chelsea. So
I think that's my best memory. I was just going to say his penalty shootout, his penalty in the shootout was for me probably the standout. One of the problems with Zenden I found, I don't know about you guys, I don't think we actually ever or Rafa actually found out where his best position was for us. Sometimes sometimes on the flank, sometimes as a second striker, and sometimes even in central.
Yeah, because he was traditionally a winger, wasn't he? Yeah, he was traditionally a left winger, wasn't he? And and they looked to move him centrally. He did play more central then in his career. I suppose it's a Dutch trait that players sort of can adapt and play different positions. But yeah, we look to play him in the centre as well.
Yeah. So you're right. The clubs that you've mentioned that he played for, what a tremendous list. And it was much more, he was much younger and much more quicker. And he played, and he made his name on the flanks. But then, by the time you reach Middlesbrough, I'm not sure if they had Mendieta at the same time. Who was an aging Spanish maestro of a player as well. But then his pace had gone by then as well. I think Zenden falls into that category where, the pace goes and he decides to rely on his technique and sort of, play centrally. But I don't think he was suited to the Rafa system at all.
Okay, that's Bolo Zenden. I thought I was going to finish a point, but we'll use who we're talking about him there. Right. People are going to have to be clever about this because the names are flying in and they go on the screen, then they go off the screen. So you have to time it right around when you think we're about to finish about one player, lash your name in. So Danny Emery has done quite well on that score. And he's thrown in Yossi Benayoun. Now, I'm going to go first on Yossi. Players in the cup final against Liverpool, I think in 2006 for West Ham. I was delighted when we signed this fella. I thought, tricky. Good player, good eye for a pass, really intelligent footballer. And I was dying to see him at Liverpool. I don't think he reached the heights he could have at Liverpool, but one of the best memories for me in a long time when he done this at Liverpool was 2008, 08-09 away at Fulham, and he scores in the last minute to give us a win. I think it might have been the same day that the Aintree Grand National was on, and the place went fucking mental. I was well in the belief that we were going on to win the league that year, but Yossi Benayoun for me was a fabulous footballer. Didn't hit the heights at Liverpool that I thought he would, but I always enjoyed watching him play. Keith, for you, what was he like?
Oh, I loved him. Absolutely loved Yossi Benayoun. In fact, I think Yossi Benayoun for us was what Rafa might have thought Zenden could have been. You know what I mean? He was a slight player. He was played out wide, but wasn't really a winger, and looked to get him centrally as much as possible. But I thought he had a good impact, certainly in this sort of 08-09. I thought he was a great squad player at that time. I thought he always made an impact, looked to get on the ball. I thought he was a nice little career at Liverpool. What was he with us? 3 years? Something like that? 3-4 years?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. I remember him in 08-09, and then I think he may do one more season, and then he's gone. If I remember rightly, like Barry Carr says, Yossi for me, out of all his goals, he really saved scoring for big moments. He did. He nearly had his head taken off in the 4-4 draw against Arsenal in 08-09 as well. Grizz, another one for you. He puts a brilliant through ball through to Torres, I think, against United Anfield for the winning goal. Brilliant pass. What was your thoughts on Yossi Benayoun?
Do you know what? At the time, okay, his hindsight's a wonderful thing. At the time, I thought he was underwhelming, right, overall. But looking back, I think he was slightly underrated. I think his time at our club was slightly underrated. As Keith says, he always made an impact, which is a sign of a good player. I have memories of him, which is another criteria that we've used already. You have to have fond memories of a player to remember him. And, the standout is the Fulham game, without that shadow of a doubt. But again, in a lot of games even against Arsenal, I remember, the link up with Torres. Of course, the famous link up of that time was Torres and Gerrard. But Benayoun had a certain understanding with them as well, and very technical player, very quick, nimble on his feet, very intelligent footballer. The only slight for me was his finishing. I just don't think he had a powerful enough shot at the end of everything. The build-up play was there, everything was there. Just, maybe his output could have been better, but fond memories of Benayoun.
And something Barry Devaney points out, he also gets the winning goal away at Real Madrid at the Bernabeu what year was that?
He does indeed.
08-09. He does it. Yeah, he does it just before we go to Old Trafford and beat United. He gets the header, doesn't he? We beat United at Old Trafford, then we beat Real 4-0 in the second leg. So he also gets the winner there. Right, here's one for you. Dylan shouts out. Keith, Grizz, I'll let you go first on this one. Lazar Markovic.
Yeah, pass.
Why?
No, I mean, look, Lazar Markovic. All right, okay. This is one of the ones that I'll hold my hands up and I got very badly wrong. Yeah. We signed the guy. We signed the guy as a teenager, I believe, 19, possibly 18. I can't remember exactly. Very, very good reports as a youth player. looked the part. We thought, I really thought, wow, this is one of those. All right, I'm going to say it, but hey, we all get things wrong, and you got to be brave enough and man enough to admit it, right? I really thought this was on the Cristiano Ronaldo levels of signing a player that's going to go on to become great. It seemed like he had it all. Whatever the reasons, and if you believe football Twitter, LFC Twitter mainly, apparently Brendan Rodgers ruined him. Brendan Rodgers didn't help his career. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But to blame one coach amongst probably 15 he's had throughout his career is ridiculous shout. I just don't think the guy had. I don't think he had the. I'm just gonna say I don't think he had the balls to become a top level professional. Technique isn't everything. I've said this. I've had this argument with so many people. In the past, technique isn't everything. Looking pretty on the board isn't everything. There are so many different, attributes to be a top world-class player, and I just don't think he was mentally strong enough to become, unfortunately, what his talent should have taken him to, when we first set eyes on him.
I think that's a really fair point with regards to mentality. Barry Carr says we go down to 10 against Basel and we go out. If he stays on, we probably go on to win, and he possibly kicks on from there. Keith, Lazar Markovic was rumoured to be joining us, and I think Chelsea might have had an option on him. And
yeah.
He was probably
deal. Belgrade or something.
Yeah, and I think he was probably one of the first players that I actually did go and watch YouTube to see what he's about. And when you watch the highlights on YouTube, you thought this fella's unbelievable. I do get what Grizz says with regards to Brendan Rodgers. I think he ends up playing him right or left wing back. It might be in right wing back. He hits a brilliant volley away at Sunderland. That if it goes in, you never know what happens. But he showed flashes. I remember him playing, I think it was Bolton in the FA Cup, when he actually drew at Anfield and won the replay, and he's really, really good that day. But he's been in enough clubs now where it just doesn't work for him. I don't think mentally he has it to be a top footballer. Has he got the technique? He probably does. He had pace. He was quite powerful. He had an eye for a goal. He had an eye for a shot on goal anyway. He was a good dribbler. He had a lot of stuff going for him, but it just did not work. When he signed, though, Keith, were you where Grizz was, where you thought this is a brilliant signing? 20 million seems a lot for a young player, but it's is it one way you thought, oh, this is going to be great, and then it just fell flat on its face?
I was well on the hype train with Markovic, to be honest. Back then, I thought, he was an exciting young player from Benfica. I know I said Chelsea had a link with Partizan Belgrade, but I think they had an option on him, like a personal thing with him from when he was coming through at Partizan. But when he was at Benfica, he was playing well. And I do agree, he didn't have the mentality maybe to make it. But I also think Rodgers didn't help him. And I don't know if it was a case of I don't know where he stands in the Rodgers or transfer committee signing. I'd imagine he was a transfer committee one, but I don't think Rodgers really gave him a chance. Those games I thought he played well and then would be hooked off or wouldn't get a start then for 2 or 3 after that. And you don't know what happens in training. But I just felt maybe if we had got a 19 or 20-year-old Markovic under Klopp, we might have seen a different. A different product, and I know that's it. I hear what you're saying, Grizz, and I know Gav, you'll probably agree with Grizz on that. The mentality thing was his mentality is his mentality, but I just think there was too much hype about him. And if let's say, but what I'm saying under Klopp, if Klopp signed him for 20 million, we wouldn't see him for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? Given the time to adapt and to maybe build up a bit of strength and a bit of the mental side of it that he didn't have, and he was thrown in straight away because we were the basket case back then. He was thrown in, and he was then the first one thrown under the bus, I felt. But the reason, he hasn't proved anything since he left to say that I'm right, you know what I mean? So I'll put me up.
In fairness, he probably gets 2, 3 pre-seasons under Klopp.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Oh yeah,
it's not like Klopp turns up and he's wasted and he's gone. And he doesn't get a chance. Klopp gets 2 or 3 looks at him.
I think he was a busted then. Yeah, I think he's a busted flush at that stage.
He is.
But that's the point about his mentality, you see, Keith.
Oh, yeah. I do agree there, like that. You know, he maybe needed a stronger mentality to survive. But what I'm saying is, if Klopp signed the player and would give him that time and would give him that, whereas when he'd come in for pre-season and you see what all the loan players, they'll come in and they'll just be in and they're waiting to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not given that. So not that they're not given, they're not Klopp players. They're not.
The problem with that theory is, Keith, right, is you had players already there and are still there that are not Klopp players. Klopp is the type of coach, the type of man, you know, goes in and he assesses and he starts everyone with a clean slate. And so therefore, for him to get rid of Markovic, Sacco, Balotelli straight away, you know, it just shows you there was something wrong in training, whether it's ability, motivation, mentality. You got lesser talents, you know, some would argue, lesser talents, Lallana, you know, Henderson even, you know, that he stuck with and he persevered with.
I know.
You know, I agree.
He was out on loan.
Wasn't
Markovic out on loan when Klopp arrived, but wasn't he like he was shipped out and all that summer?
Yeah.
His first look at him was maybe the following pre-season. I just think it was maybe, you know, it's a sliding doors moment that it could have worked out or it might not, because he's raw attribute for pace, and he was, despite what our memories would be, he was strong enough on the ball.
The thing for me is I think he signed for Liverpool in the summer of 2014, right? So he only has 16 months under Rodgers. When Klopp arrives, it's October 2015. You know, Markovic is well savable. You know, his career is it's not the hardest thing to save Markovic's Liverpool career, because he's only had 15 months at Liverpool where you can just turn around and go, listen, forget it. You have a 5-year contract. We're going to do A, B, and C. And Klopp loves picking up a player like that and going, listen, you're brilliant. Don't worry about it. We'll show you how it's done. But Klopp has 2 or 3 looks at him and during pre-season, and just never even has any intention of trying to do anything with him or introduce him into a side or even try him in a couple of games in a row to see if he could get something. Obviously, they've spotted something really early on and went, look, this isn't going to happen. And I think Grizz is spot on. I think it's his own mentality that kills him. The next player to come up is Iago Aspas. And I'm going to go first on this. I felt a bit sorry for him. He came in a time where, you know, I think he scores on his debut in pre-season away at Preston North End, I think. And people are like, oh, he looks good. He starts the season because Suarez is banned. And he gets a look in and he plays against United in a 1-0 win where Sturridge scores. He plays a different game. But I'll never, ever, ever, ever forgive him for the corner he takes against Chelsea at the Kop end when we're loading the box looking for the equaliser and he passes one to the edge of the box to, I think it's Willian or fucking someone like that. Done really well. Back in Spain, Celta Vigo. Is he still with Celta Vigo? He might not be. But a player again for me that flattered to deceive. For me, will always be remembered for that corner. Keith, where do you stand?
Yeah, look, I flattered to deceive. Yeah, it's a hard one because he just didn't get a game. You know, he just didn't get a sniff when he was with us, and he was billed. I remember again signing him. There was good reports that come out, you know, from Celta on him. It was like he's a Suarez light, you know what I mean? He's a buzzsaw forward. He gets in, he'll pull wide. Very actually compared. What I'd seen him being compared to Craig Bellamy. So I thought, right, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. And it just never happened for him. Like, he didn't do a fucking tap for us because he wasn't getting any games. And I think his career since he left us proved that he actually was a good player. I think I agree, he'd be remembered for that bleeding corner, even though he scored, he missed the penalty, didn't he, that knocked Spain out of, was it out of the World Cup? Or the Euros, one of them. He missed the
penalty that Spain go out in the World Cup 2018 in Russia. Am I right?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So he misses the penalty in that game against Russia to knock them out. And the corner was still the worst bleeding moment of his career. So yeah, it's unfortunate when you have that, you know what I mean, that you're remembered for one bad thing. The only thing you're remembered for is that bad fucking
Overall, not a bad career in Spain, though. In fairness, like
Great
he
career, yeah.
hasn't had Grizz. Iago Aspas. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, this is gonna sound weird, right? But let me try to give some context behind it. He could have been the Divock Origi of that era, right? And what I mean by that is, you see, we had a very settled attack even then. The Sterling,
Yeah.
Sturridge, no one was going to break that, right? The fella was talented. You could see something about. I like the comparison with Bellamy and a very, very old Suarez, right?
Yeah.
He had the tenacity, but he didn't have the strength of a Bellamy, and certainly not a Suarez, who was an absolute fucking ox, right? His protection of the ball wasn't nowhere near as good as Suarez, but saying that, he had the movement. He was very nimble. He had the movement. He was very intelligent off the ball, would get into very, very good positions. Technically hit and miss, but then, he was that type of player that was he had certain traits that Fowler had as well, in terms of, he could sniff a goal. He could be, his link-up play wasn't the worst. I just think he didn't adapt to the strength and pace of the league, especially, as I said, that Brendan Rodgers team. We had, we had a lot of players that were very good on the break, whereas Aspas liked to get involved in the play a bit and play a bit of football, technically wanted to get hold of the ball, but we were deadly on the break those days. Do you know what I mean? With Sterling, Gerrard, Suarez, and Sturridge. So yeah, yeah. So he was again. He would want to drop deep and sort of get into the areas Coutinho was dictating. Do you know what I mean? So he wouldn't be, involved in the actual attacking impetus. I think, possibly. Bad timing, as you said, Gav. He probably arrived at the wrong time. But yeah, ruined it all by that corner. So any memories that we would have had sort of fond of him, that automatically gets thrown in the bin for that shitty corner, which I saw. I was right behind.
I've always said it's weird how you just remember a player for one moment. Owen Borg says Aspas never stood a chance with Sturridge and Suarez in a title-chasing team. He could have been a good addition if given a proper chance.
It's mad that the following season, we're crying out for a forward and we're playing Balotelli. Do you know what I mean? It's funny how things work. He was already off at that stage.
It really is. Danny Emery says you mention his name and you only think of one moment. You absolutely do. Dylan has timed this really well for the next player, and the next player is Charlie Adam. And Grizz, I'll stay with you on Charlie Adam.
Charlie Adam, Gav, I didn't want him to stop. And, I was proved right.
Grizz, you need to speak into that microphone much better, me.
Yeah, Gav?
There you go. That's perfect.
Charlie Adam, Gav, I didn't want from the start.
Right.
I thought he was a set piece merchant at Blackpool. I thought Blackpool's game was based around Charlie Adam. He was the fulcrum, he was the playmaker. Everything went through him. I don't think he had the game to sort of carry that on at a club like Liverpool. I thought it was one of those emotional purchases rather than our scouting network as we know it now, in terms of the background, and we check numbers and we check absolutely everything about a player. I'm sure Charlie Adams' stats wouldn't have held up in the modern game, in terms of his pressing, his running, and so it was. I mean, he technically a good player, good on the ball, had an eye for a pass. I think he thought he's way better than he actually was. And I just don't think Liverpool was the club for him. He was never meant to be a world-class player, in my opinion, unfortunately.
He is at Blackpool, Keith, and, I think we try sign him in the January and it doesn't happen. It falls, it kind of, the deal collapses at the last minute, and they just talk that United are into him. And of course you have that famous kind of Fergie quote, which Stephen O'Connor brings up here and says, Charlie Adam has corners worth 10 million alone. and Ferguson said that.
Yeah.
Dalglish drives to wherever he needs to drive to pick Charlie Adam up to get him to Liverpool to sign. I'm going to be honest about you, or about you. I'm not about you. I'm not going to say anything about you, Keith. I'm going to be honest with you. I was excited by it. I'm going to be honest about it.
Yeah.
I'll put it to this way. Grizz is right. He was everything at Blackpool was built around him. You know, they were under the cosh a lot, but he was able to get hold of the ball. He was good at keeping the ball. He had an eye for a long ball as well to get people in behind and stuff like that. He had brilliant set pieces, and he scored a fair few goals for Blackpool as well. Decent penalty taker and stuff like that. But I was excited by it because I thought, yeah, he's something different. I could see what Dalglish was trying to get in there. He was trying to get someone in there that could hold on to the ball, you know, could distribute really well and could be really good at set pieces. And at that time, we've Andy Carroll still there, you know, so you're looking at set pieces. You know, it felt like a signing where Dalglish was trying to piece something together, but it just went badly wrong, you know. It really, really did. You know, Barry Carr says when Adam was so universally approved by the likes of Merson and Letitia, it was doomed to fail. Keith, were you excited by it, or were you thinking, here for fuck's sake?
I was excited. No, I was excited, like yourself, Gav. To be honest, it was a very good season at Blackpool. He looked. You know, he was all that play was going through. I know they were a shitty team and all that, but everything was going through Charlie Adam. And what they'll get lashed out for this, it reminded me of Alonso, right? Not saying he's anything like Xabi Alonso, but it was that sort of raking passes from midfield, you know what I mean? And it was a sign of I'd say it was the likes of Charlie Adam that made Liverpool put in this transfer committee, because we spoke about Iago Aspas there a minute ago, being a transfer committee signing that didn't work out well. Kenny's fingerprints were all over these signings that summer. There was Henderson, Adam, Downing. I think they were all together, weren't they? And it was all down to, you know, delivery, crossing in for Andy Carroll's big mutton head. And it just never worked. He didn't have the mentality again to play for a big club like that. He didn't look after himself. Yeah. No, he's a fucking mess.
Well, it seems to me that when Charlie Adam comes to Liverpool, and the early signs aren't too bad, but I think Charlie Adam, you know, I think he's had to be in at Rangers, he goes to Blackpool, and then he's at Liverpool. After a little while, it really looked like this was a player that just thought he'd made it and rested on his laurels. Yeah. You know, because if you could get the form that Charlie Adam was in at Blackpool, out of him at Liverpool, he could do not the same job he'd do at Blackpool, but he'd do something. He would be able to contribute at Liverpool. It just fell away so badly. But look, we'll have to leave it there. Grizz, I'm going to come to you, and the last name I remember seeing after Iago Aspas and Charlie Adam was Jack Grealish. It's the first non-Liverpool player we've had tonight. Grizz, what's your makings on Jack Grealish? Because he's been linked with Liverpool, he's been linked with Arsenal, he's been linked with Spurs. He nearly signed for Spurs, I think. He's been linked with Manchester United in the recent past. Jack Grealish, Grizz, is he a player where you look and go, yeah, he's probably a top 4 / top 6 player?
There's 3 young, sort of, you know, kids of the moment that a lot of people are talking about. There's him, there's Maddison, and there's Todd Cantwell. For me, personally, and I've said it all season, I think Grealish is the one for me out of all the 3. Okay. I know loads like Cantwell and loads like Maddison, but I think this kid, see, the thing is, I can't say maturity because of the shitty things he does off the pitch or what he done off the pitch, right? But on the pitch is all I can talk about because you see him. And the maturity on the pitch is shown for me compared to when he first arrived in the Premier League, which was probably, Keith will tell me, a few years ago, wasn't it? At least 3 years ago.
There a long time, yeah. So he played against us when Villa knocked us out of the FA Cup. Like, he's in their team a good while.
Yeah. So, I mean, he has matured immensely. I think he's very, very ready for a top club. for me, I rate him as highly than the other two that I've mentioned. I think he has more impact. I think he's stronger. I think he's more commanding than the other two. He has shown leadership quality in that Aston Villa team. I think he shows far more leadership quality than the other two as well. Hasn't he been captain a few games? I'm sure he has.
He's Villa's captain.
Oh, he is Villa's captain, isn't he? Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. Well, there you go. To make such a still fairly young, but a young man like that, captain of that team, fighting for the relegation, it just shows you, the courage or the trust that the coach has in him. And, that's a decent coach they got over there. He knows he's been, he knows, he's got a lot of experienced players there as well. He's got quite a few older players there as well. But he puts trust in his Jack Grealish. And I think on the pitch, I mean, as we said, off the pitch, there's questions about him, etc., etc. But this Jack Grealish is one of those players that I would love. Keith was talking about Markovic, getting hold of Markovic. Grealish is one of those players that I'd love Jurgen Klopp to get hold of. I rate him very highly, Cam.
Okay.
Right, very highly.
Yes or no, Grizz, would you sign him for Liverpool?
Yes, I would.
Okay, good stuff. I think if you were to sign him, the trouble he gets into maybe the fact that he's from Birmingham and he plays for a team in Birmingham. There's too many familiar people around him to get him into trouble. I think if he was somewhere else, that might help him. I think I'd sign him for Liverpool as well. And I think if Lallana was leaving, I think Grealish might be a brilliant addition to the squad in replacing Lallana, but being able to be more effective and be on the pitch a lot more than Lallana. I think he's a cracking player. Although I do really like Todd Cantwell. I seen him up close and personal at Liverpool versus Norwich in the first game of the season and really, really liked him. Maddison for me is overblown, way overblown. But that's just my opinion. Keith, would you sign him for Liverpool? What you're making on Jack Grealish?
Would you sign him, yeah?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Yeah, now I like Jack Grealish. But I do agree with Grizz. I think he's better than James Maddison. Maddison's all about his set piece delivery, which is excellent. But I think Grealish's play is much better. The comparison with Lallana is very good there because that's how I'd look at him. You'd sign Jack Grealish and he's a winger, but there's not a chance that he plays on the wing for us. Yep. So where does he play? You have to find the position and you nearly have to build a team around him. Would I sign him for Liverpool? You're talking big money as well. I think if you sign him, you're talking 70-75 million to get Jack Grealish.
No. I mean, especially if they go down, Keith, you'd get Grealish for, I'd say 40-50 million. And
I think you get him for cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't get him for anything cheaper.
Well, I'll tell you why. Aston Villa spent 155 million in transfers last summer, and it was quite obvious what they were doing. They were trying to blow a market away where it would keep them up, and it's a massive gamble they've paid. They're about 2 years out of literally going to the wall. They literally went to the wall and got away with it about 2 years ago. They were nearly getting points deductions and everything. Aston Villa have taken a massive risk, and I know you probably get 120 million out of the Premier League in parachute payments, but there's no way in hell Jack Grealish hasn't got a clause in his contract that says if we go down, I can leave for X amount, and there's no way that money is 50 million, in my opinion. We'd all sign him, which is interesting. He kind of plays on that left hand side for Villa, but I like him when he plays in a midfield three and he drifts left and he, when he gets involved, the
first thing I'd do, but I'd make him wear proper shin guards because them bleeding things he wears now with me head in.
Well, the funny thing is, it's only the way he wears his socks. Because if you
he wears shin guards.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah, but a lot of players do. Because if you took their socks down, you would actually see that the shin guards are absolutely tiny. Look back at Gerrard. Gerrard used to take his shin guards off after every game, and they were about fucking 6 inches. They were tiny. Do you know what I mean? Because players they just want to over the main part of their shin, and they just for comfort as small as they possibly can. It's interesting that we would all sign him because I think. Where we spoke about Charlie Adamant says this is just a player that looks like he's made it and fell off. Grealish looks to me like the sort of fella that would thrive on that, and he would. I'm at Liverpool, or I think Man United would be absolutely insane not to go out and sign him. That's just my opinion. I think
that's where I think he goes.
That's where I think he might end up, and I think they'd be insane not to do it. But if Liverpool could look at it and bring him in, and I think Klopp could get so much out of him. I think he is, like Grizz says, he's very responsible on the pitch. He's very mature on the pitch. He holds onto the ball. He has an eye for a pass. He can go past people. He can score goals. He's not afraid to open his mouth. You know, he doesn't shy away. Maddison doesn't take a game by the scruff of the neck whatsoever. But games pass him by and he may score.
He has leaders there.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting chat on Jack Grealish, and look, it may come up when the transfer window opens, whenever that may be. I'm sure Jack Grealish's name will be bandied around quite a bit. But if I was to put money on where he would go if he leaves Villa, I think United is probably the destination. But I wouldn't mind seeing Jack Grealish in our squad. One word answer, lads, and one word only. It was a question. It might have been from Owen Burke earlier. If I'm wrong on that, I apologise. One word only. Grizz, I'll come to you first. Werner or Sancho?
I don't know what that means. Like,
Werner or Sancho? No. One word answer. You can sign Werner or you can sign Sancho. Pick one. Werner. What are you going for, Keith?
I'd go Werner.
You go Werner as well. Yeah, I think I would as well. I'm being honest with you.
I think Sancho's a good player. But to me, Werner's more what we want than what Sancho is. So we go Werner.
There's a lot of talk around Sancho at the moment. United on 120 million and 350 grand a week, and
exactly, and that's what it'll come down to with him.
It would do, but the only thing I would say is people have said it's madness. I think it's actually a really good move for Sancho to United, regardless of money and wages.
It's a huge thing, and he's going to be the superstar.
Well, that's the big thing for me, because I think they're looking for. Now, don't get me wrong, Bruno Fernando is a really good signing for Manchester United. Rashford, I think, is very, very good. You know, there's holes in the squad, there's no doubt about that, but I think they're looking for somebody to pin their hopes on and be the next big, massive thing. And although Rashford has been at times, and Bruno Fernandes had a good start to his United career, although, you know, he scored a couple of penalties, he scored a couple of goals, but you couldn't have done much worse than what you were doing.
If Sancho's got anything about him to be the world elite football star he should be and who should become, he will not go to United. He will stay at Dortmund for one more season and then join the mighty Reds next season.
Fair point.
And that will make him one of the best players in the world. If you go
I don't know, Grizz.
I know. We've discussed this off air before. I know we have. We've discussed this. I'm just making it public now that it will be an awful move for him to go to Man United. And I'm not saying that out of sort of my hatred for Man United or whatever, but I'm just saying it. He should stick it out at Dortmund for one more season, which he's still young, because once he goes to United, he won't end up ever playing for Liverpool. And that would be a mighty shame, because we like him a lot. On our scouts, he's one of the top targets. We've liked him for over a year and a half now. And
exactly, but that's all dependent on one of the boys going, isn't it?
Well, this is my point. This is why I say he's one more season at Dortmund, which he's absolutely happy and fine to do, and their club will love to keep him for another season.
Are you sure? Because the impression I get is that he wants to go there.
He can stay.
Everything you read is he does these impatient and he wants to be out back in England.
Yeah, but this is my point. This is where it comes down to personal, personal control of your career. You know, you stick it out for 1 year out of your career, and that makes the difference. That makes all the difference, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, you say stick it out. He's at Dortmund. He's not exactly slumming it. You know what I mean? So you can say if he has his eye on the prize and he wants to go to Liverpool, then he might just have a chat and say, right, it's not going to happen this summer, but I'm the number one target for next summer. Right, I'll hang around. I agree with you, but the flip side of that, I think, United are a huge club. They're screaming out for any talent they can get, and they've a gaping hole on their right wing, and I think it'll just fit.
Don't get me wrong.
And the money will swing it.
From United's point of view, from a United fan and from United's point of view, it would be a stunning coup. But from the player's point of view, and in terms of if he wants to become, because I genuinely don't think I think he'll just be another Martial, Rashford, in that caliber of player where flatters to deceive,
Yeah.
I've said it before. I think he's a little bit overrated on Sancho. I think Werner does an awful lot for us for what we need. If we need him to play out wide and use his pace, if we need him to play up front and use his pace, we can do that. Sancho's going to be a wide man. He's not going to play up front for you. But he is from what, and listen, he is from what people tell me, because I'm not going to pretend I've watched Jadon Sancho more than, and I genuinely haven't watched him more than 5 times. That's genuine. But from what I've told me, people like Grizz, I've seen a lot of them, and other lads that I know, that I've seen a lot of them rave about him. The money thing may come into it. United, look, if the league doesn't get finished, which it won't, it will get finished in my opinion, but if it didn't and United were stuck in the Europa League again, it makes it difficult for them. If the league finishes out and they don't make Champions League, 120 million outlay on a player is still big money for Manchester United. He seems like a good fit for United because he would go there and he would get that superstar worshipping that I think he wants, as well as him being ex-Man City and going there a point to prove they'd back him even more because of it. A bit like when Tevez went the other way, United to City. But we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't turn either of them down. But if I was to pick one, I think it would be Werner. The last name I seen there was Peter Crouch. Very interesting. Keith, Peter Crouch.
Yeah, see, I love all of them, right? I love all the
You're
players.
just a lover, aren't you? You're a lover, you're a fighter.
Some people are like skeptical when someone signs like Crouchy. How could you not like Crouchy, right? His style of play isn't everyone's cup of tea, but, he was always a good egg, you know what I mean? He was a nice fella, Peter Crouch. I liked him, and he was something different. Now, he's a bit of a journeyman. I suppose always was a bit of a journeyman. But when we signed him, I thought, yeah, why not? Do you know what I mean? He'd come off a good season. Was it with Southampton when we signed him? Did we get him off Southampton?
Yeah, we did.
And it was just, you're looking at a player who's 6'7" or something like that. And it's, yeah, get him in there. He'll do something for us. I think we signed him the year we won the Champions League, wasn't it? This summer after that.
Yeah.
And I just thought, yeah, it was a good signing. But he then took a while then to score, didn't he? He took bleeding ages to get a goal.
Yeah, I think that endeared him. I think that endeared him more to the squad, or to the players and the fans, because because it wasn't like he wasn't trying and he wasn't putting the effort in and he wasn't having go at goals and he wasn't a bit unlucky. And when he scores, the plays goes mental and Carragher chases him towards the Cop end and people are delighted for him. Yeah, and we've seen recently with Crouch that he has said, and he said it previously, but it's come up again in the last week or so, that he regrets leaving Liverpool because he looks at 80, he didn't feel he'd get in with Torres and stuff like that, and 18 months later he's looking at David and Gog and Andre Vornen hanging around the gaff, and he's thinking, jeez, I would have got a game there. But I loved him. The idea of signing him, I thought was great. It was different. When you looked at what Benitez was trying to build, and he did want. And I genuinely don't. I believe this. I think he looked at the likes of Bolton and stuff like that and went, we need to be more physical. And that's why you see Momo Sissoko arrive and you see Crouch come in, and he wants to be more physical and he wants to stand up to people. But Crouch just gets better and better as it goes along. He scores some incredible goals, and I think he did leave Liverpool a bit early. Somebody says there, Owen Book says Crouch has the third best podcast out there. I'd love to know what the two in front of it is, because I think his podcast is sensational. Grizz.
This one, isn't it?
Great. Well, not this one. We're just messing. Grizz, Peter Crouch. When he's because you have to remember, Peter Crouch starts, I think, off at QPR. I think he goes to Villa. He goes to. Does he go to Portsmouth? No, sorry, he does. I think he does.
He has a stint there.
Yeah, no, I think he does QPR. Then he does Villa.
Yeah.
Then I think he goes to. I think he might have been at Norwich at some stage. Norwich is in my head for some reason.
Say QPR again, Gav.
QPR.
Oh, you probably say it posh.
QPR.
Oh, it's proper posh.
What
anyway,
am I say QPR?
No, you're right. You're right.
All right. So he goes. He does QPR. He does Villa. I think he then goes to.
He went from QPR to Portsmouth, then Portsmouth to Villa.
Oh right, to Villa, and then he ends up going from Villa to Southampton. And then he does
and
Liverpool.
He had a long spell at Norwich in between.
No, I knew there was a Norwich in there. And then he does Liverpool. And then after that, he goes back to Portsmouth. Am I right? And then Spurs. Right. He's all over the place.
Back to Spurs, because he started at Spurs. He started at Spurs, so he 2 stints at Spurs, 2 stints at Portsmouth.
Yeah, it was mad. But
like I said, big journeyman.
yeah, but I just loved him. I loved everything about him. You know, the famous line, "What would you be if you wouldn't be if you weren't a footballer?" And his answer was a virgin. I just thought was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Again, sort of things that endear people to Peter Crouch, isn't it? Like, it's his personality and everything about. Like, he done that robot dance and all that in the World Cup.
Look,
if other players had done that, he would have got slaughtered.
Yeah, and then the goal against is it Galatasaray? He scores that, and he does another one against Bolton as well. He does similar. Owen Bork and Avo.
Besiktas, not Galatasaray. He scored. I think he scores that against Besiktas.
Besiktas, you're right. Besiktas. Sorry, I knew it was Turkish.
Look,
sorry. Owen Bork and Avo both say the Fatback Four and the club are the two podcasts ahead of Peter Crouch. They're both the same podcast, lads. It's both. It's all of us. We're not two different podcasts. We're the exact same podcast. Just a load of messers messing. But if you rate us that highly, I'm absolutely delighted. Grizz, Peter Crouch, hit me.
Oh, Gav, man, I'm gonna feel like a right cunt here because you've bigged him up and you've talked.
Fucking hate him, don't you?
Well, no, I don't. I absolutely love the man and what he's done in his career and absolutely everything. He's a credit. He's a credit to footballers up and down the country, you know. Mm-hmm. But I hated him as a signing for Liverpool. Gav, no, I've got to be honest, Keith. Right. I was crying out for pace in that team, in that Rafa team. Look, apart from Torres and Babu flattered to deceive, and then Jermaine Pennant, in and around at that period as well. I see what Rafa was trying to do, as you say, but then Zenden, Kite, Crouch, Benayoun, that team had no pace. When we signed him, I was like, no. I wanted, a Torres Mark II, so to speak. I mean, easier said than done, obviously. But do you know what I mean? In terms of, I wanted someone more powerful. I know Crouch is about 8'4", but he wasn't the most powerful. I totally agree. He was trying to make this team more physical and a taller team and sort of more difficult at set pieces. Also be more dangerous in the opposition box. And of course, Crouch gave us that by, his natural height. But he wasn't an aggressive header. He wasn't aggressive enough striker. He scored some wonderful goals. Don't get me wrong. You think to yourself, wow, how did he manage? We've just discussed the scissor kick. And he scored some wonderful technical goals. But, overall, he wasn't for me. He wasn't my type of striker. And he most certainly wasn't the type of striker Liverpool needed, which was most important for me. I mean, forget our own opinions. Who gives a shit about our type of strikers? But at the time, I thought we needed someone lethal, someone pacier, far more pacier. And when we signed him, I thought, oh God, no. And that's about it really. I love the man since then.
It's mad, like when
he's a credit to the sport. He's an absolute. He comes across as a wonderful human being. But I just don't think Liverpool was the club for him at the time.
Okay. I'm going to do some random questions for the last 10 minutes, but there's a player keeps popping up here, and I don't know if it's the same person putting her in, but here we go. It's the RB Leipzig centre-half, and I'm going to try to say his name, Upamecano. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Is that how it's said? Is that how it's said?
Upamecano.
Who's going to correct you on fucking text?
I don't know.
They are Upamecano.
All the lads might on the chat, they might go, what the fuck are you talking about? Sounds like a biscuit. Grizz, this centre half for RB Leipzig seems to be getting a lot of attention, I suppose. I seen him play against Spurs in the Champions League in the second leg, and he looked really, really good. Having said that, Spurs were appalling. You've seen a bit of him, I presume, because you watch German football quite a lot. What do you make of this fella?
He's the bollocks, mate. He's the absolute dog's knackers. He's the one of the best young centre backs in world football, Gav.
Left or right? Centre half play left or right side?
He plays left side.
Fuck him, man.
That's the problem, innit? But he's an absolute beast. This guy. He's a young Koulibaly, man, but better on the ball. He's got it all, Gav. He's got leadership qualities.
Left footed.
He's left footed.
Okay.
But he's very. He can play with his right foot as well. I've seen him play, passes with his right foot. He's not. Koulibaly's exclusively left-footed, right? Laporte is exclusively left-footed. This guy, is fairly two-footed. I think whoever gets him, and I don't think it's going to be us or anything, but whoever gets him is going to get the best, one of the best centre halves in world football, if not next season, but within the next 2 seasons.
Okay. Dylan O'Rourke put up a question there earlier, about a minute or two ago. It's definitely something to do with field. So, Dylan, if you can just copy and paste that back on, and I'll ask that before we finish because people are replying to it, and I'd like to have my chance to reply to it. Definitely, if it's about field and possibly about sausage you put on field. So, you have the right people here. Definitely Grizz anyway. Keith just puts cabbage water over everything, so we don't know what we get out of him. The last player I'm going to go to, and there's been loads of players thrown in. Kev O'Sullivan says Diego Carlos has been linked this week. Could be interesting. I don't know who he is. Kev also said that he always wanted us to sign Jermaine Defoe. I was a bit on that bandwagon as well at times.
Big time.
I thought just bashing goals in at the Cop end, I thought Defoe would have been made for it.
Big time.
He's the. But Darren Bent was the same mould as well.
Darren Bent was never in the league that Jermaine Defoe was in. Not even fucking close. But they were always linked. Yeah,
they were always linked.
I get what you're going with. Right, the last player I'm going to go with before Dylan possibly, copy and paste this question back onto the screen. Otherwise, I'm going to have to tell Niamh. And we'll have to out him. Oh, I have it. Jesus, the minute you mention his girlfriend and I'm threatening him with his girlfriend, he has it straight up. The question is, every dinner for the rest of your life has to be covered in one sauce. What sauce are you choosing? Don't answer that yet, because the last player I want to talk about was Harry Kewell. Now, I'm going to go first on Harry Kewell. I was fucking thrilled when we signed Harry Kewell, especially when we robbed him off Leeds for about £5 million. I thought, what a player. No, he wasn't. He had a clause in his contract. I don't know whether he went down that season. I think they did. 2003, I think it was. And I think he went down that season. It was 2003. And he had a clause there that Leeds, I think, tried to hide. But Liverpool got him for £5 million. And there was literally a build-up to this as to who's he going to sign for. Is it Arsenal United? There was a proper lead-up to it. And he goes and he signs for Liverpool, and I just thought, what a player. He was flying for Leeds, he was bashing in goals, he was lashing them in from 25 yards, brilliant left foot. He's going to be amazing at Liverpool, and he is by far and away one of the most underwhelming players I have ever seen play for Liverpool. And Danny Emery says, he agrees with me, he thought Kewell was the final piece of the jigsaw. Just everything about him, I was just so fucking excited for him. I hung me hat on Harry Kewell, and he was so fucking poor. Bar probably the first 6 months of his Liverpool career, he was so poor, so poor. Keith, did he let you down as much as he let me down?
He did. I remember at the time, and he'd fallen out at Leeds, didn't he? He was he training on his own, or he was something had happened at the end of his time. But he done that whole fucking decision thing. That's why I thought it was a Bosman, where he said who he was going to sign for. So it wasn't. He done it on late Australian television.
He did do that, but it wasn't a free.
Oh yeah.
It was £5 million.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I thought it was a free. That's why I thought it was a free. So you're right. Yeah, must have been a transfer. But that's why I was sort of thinking it must have been a bleeding. It must have been a freebie in that, but the hype of Harry Kewell, I've very rarely been more excited about getting a player than I was him. And it's the age-old story where how many players can we say that Liverpool signed and don't fuck all because of injuries? Do you know what I mean? He's another one that we hung a hat on. Got the number 7 jersey. Do you know what I mean? Iconic number. Done nothing.
Own book reckons it's all down to when he grew the ponytail. Abo says the best thing Harry Kewell done was get injured in the 2005 Champions League final, and Vladimir Smitser came on. Barry Devon, he says Rafa loved him. Very injury prone for us though. Never seen the best of him. Grizz, he scores in the Merseyside derby in his debut season in a 3-1 win away at Everton. It might have been the one where Gerrard bashes the one across goal. Owen scores as well, and I think Kewell gets a third. But it might be in the wrong game, because I can vision Reese going through as well, but that's much earlier. But Grizz, you had to be excited when we signed him, because like Leeds were terrible, and he was still. Don't they beat Arsenal in 2003, and they're Arsenal in a title run in, and he scores him and Viduka, and he scores a brilliant goal at Arsenal to give Leeds a win, and I think it hands United a title on the same day. He was brilliant, Grizz, for Leeds. Brilliant.
I was convinced that this is it. I really thought that whoever he signs for will win the league. That's how good I rated him at the time. He was a wonderful footballer, an absolute athlete, a thoroughbred of a winger. You're talking Gareth Bale, Ryan Giggs caliber. This guy had it all. He could run all day. He had strength. He was brilliant in the air. You know, he could strike a ball.
Yeah,
everything
he was
about
good in
him.
the air.
Oh, he was superb in the air. And I thought to myself, whoever he signs for, I remember, you know, that was one of the few times where, you know, Sky Sports really, really earned their money. It was brilliant climax. It was the climax to it all. The decision, Harry Kewell. No one knew that week who he's going to sign for. I didn't have no sources at the time to help me. There was absolutely no sign of where is Harry Kewell going to go. But when he came out and he chose Liverpool, I tell you what, I was chuffed to bits. I thought, yes, I celebrated like we're going to win the league.
Yeah.
I was convinced. I was telling all my mates, we've got Harry Kewell. That's exactly what we needed. It's the league is ours. And as you said, one of the most tragic cases of injuries, Keith, as Keith says, is fucking mental, man. How many players that, you know, didn't put, you know, fully sort of fulfill their potential with us because of injuries, you know, or cumulative injuries or a serious injury. With him, I think it was just non-stop, wasn't it? It was just, you know, non-stop back, hamstring, you name it.
He literally he turns up at Liverpool and he looks the part. And then about 8 months in, he puts on weight. He looks slower. The boots he's wearing, even his boots looked fucking awful. He grows a ponytail. It's just not fucking happening. And it really fucking annoyed me that he stayed at Liverpool till about 2007. You know, like, he gets 4 years at Liverpool and he should have been fucked out the door after about 18 months. Let's be honest about it. Owen Burke said it must have been a relative of Michael Edwards who found that $5 million release clause. I'd say it was either that or a relation of Colombo or a touch of Frost, or I don't know, Morse. I don't know who he's a relative of. Kevin Sullivan says Diego Carlos is a centre half at Sevilla, 27, and we're favourites to sign him ahead of the big two in Spain. I haven't even seen that.
There's a 70 million buyout clause or something Diego Carlos has. He's a fucking flyer, absolute greyhound of a centre half.
That clause will definitely come down now because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But again, another superb centre back.
Well, I don't know anything about him.
Up to a big club.
Didn't even know he played football. All I thought when I seen the name Diego Carlos was that free kick that Roberto Carlos scored.
You thought in
Le Tournoi. That's being honest with you. Avo says he's been watching a thing on the History Channel, Kings of Pain. A pair of knob heads getting bit on purpose by the world's dangerous things. What a pair of bell ends. Yeah, sounds great. I'm onto the Series 3 of Ozark tonight. But, sorry, the last question before we go. Grizz, you have to eat one sauce on all your food for the rest of your life. What sauce are you going with? Now, Dylan would like you to take into consideration that you're going to be eating chicken, beef, fish, rice, you know, chips, whatever you want to eat. So, Grizz, give me a sauce.
Oh, this is a you know, the easy answer is ketchup because you can put ketchup with everything.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 years, I've developed a craving and a need for sticky barbecue sauce.
Oh,
sticky barbecue. I tell you, because I came across it quite flukily.
Is that in a bottle? Like, you know.
I get it in the 2.25 litre sort of
2.5 litres of it.
Industrial drum.
Yeah, I don't fuck about, Gav.
What is it? Is that? Have you got it on tap in the kitchen?
Well, it's not 2.5 litres. It's 2.25.
Oh yeah, right.
So
well, sorry,
right.
We're splitting hairs.
Right.
But the thing is, like, have you got this? Have you got this mounted on the wall, like, you know, like a hand dryer in a toilet? Is this just a big massive thing that you just press a button and just smothers your gear in it and you walk off?
But to make
motion sensor.
to make life easier for the family and the kids and everything, I have squeezed it into normal bottles. Right? So
what did you do? Did you sit down one night and squeeze it up the big bottle into small bottles?
You make a hole in it, and then you just squeeze into. Yeah, you just make it. You make a hole in the carton, and then you just squeeze it out or pour it out because it comes out really slowly, sticky. Remember, it's not your normal runny sauce.
And if
it's
you
not
take
runny.
Grizz on this, Gavin,
It takes
another thing comes.
Grizz, not a fucking hope in hell, right? Then
James
hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. There's not a fucking hope in hell for anyone listening to this or watching it or listening later on when I put it up for download, right? There's not a chance in hell that Grizz can, right? The famous Grizz can has sat down at a dining room or kitchen table, right? Took out a 2.25 litre of sticky barbecue sauce, right? Pierced a hole in the side of it and went and found himself empty bottles to squeeze this stuff in. He's decantering fucking sticky barbecue sauce, right? There's not a chance, Grizz, does it? Grizz, tell us the truth.
Grizz, afterwards and
Grizz,
see if I've done now.
I'll tell you what happened. You went out.
And
you seen? No, he went out. This is what happened, right? Don't even worry about it, Keith. He went out.
I hate when he does this.
Right? He went out and he bought He's seen a 2.25 litre thing of sticky barbecue sauce. He thought to himself, I can't buy that because Sharon.
Lions.
Sharon will go.
No,
hold on. Wait.
Lions.
Wait. He says I can't buy that because Sharon will tell me I'm fucking ridiculous when I go home. So what I'll do is, like the last time when I bought all that ice cream, I will tell her that that the shop is actually closing down and they have to get rid of this stuff, right? Remember the time you bought a pallet of ice cream? Yeah, I do too. So then what he said was, I know what I'll do. I'll fucking get a load of empty bottles and I'll bring them home and go, listen, it makes fucking sense if we just squeeze this into this and we'll have sticky barbecue sauce for ages. You seen a deal on this gear. You seen a deal on this gear and you went for it. Be honest.
Ideally, who doesn't want in a bottle form? We all want, right? We all want sauce in a bottle form so it's nice and easy to pour on. But unfortunately, there are some things that you can't have in life. Sticky barbecue sauce, please, if there's any listeners out there,
it only comes in 2 litre bottles.
Please explain to Gav that they only come in 2.25 litre.
Okay, listen. I wasn't planning on going out tomorrow, right? But I am going to go to the local supermarket tomorrow, and
please, be safe, Gav.
Listen, I'll smoke in the supermarket. I'll do what the fuck I want. All rules. Everything's gone now, right? So I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna start taking pictures of sticky barbecue sauce in bottles that are fucking.
You won't get it.
I will, and they'll be much smaller than 2.25 litres. Right?
You won't get it.
I'm telling you. Dylan has
tweet it from the main account if you get it.
I will. And Dylan has just simply put in 2 words, Aldi paint. And Aldi paint was an absolute classic. But so he's gone for sticky barbecue sauce because he can't go for anything else. It's the only fucking thing he has in his house. He needs a planning permission to bring it in. So Keith, what sauce are you going for?
I'm going for curry sauce.
On everything?
On everything. On everything.
So you're doing it on
chicken,
steak?
Fish, chips, steak, everything.
Oh, that's such an Irish shout.
Yeah, curry sauce.
Curry sauce.
Because you can't have like ketchup on certain things.
You can't have it on rice.
No, you can't. Curry you can have on anything.
Fish.
Yeah, fish. I love getting fish and chips in the chip and lashing a tub of curry sauce on it. Fantastic.
I'm gonna go with a garlic sauce.
Garlic.
Yeah.
It's a safe option, isn't it? That's so Gav.
But garlic.
That's such a Gavin Doyle shout.
Yeah, well,
who's never tried Indian food, who's never tried any other fucking racist food, right? That's such a Gavin Doyle, just garlic fucking sauce.
Well, to be honest with you, I've never tried Indian food. That's genuine.
You've
eat
never
Chinese.
Tried, you don't like fucking fried chicken.
I don't. No, I don't. I'll eat fried chicken if it's
boneless.
Boneless. I don't eat chicken on the bone.
Look at this, Keith. Are you listening to this?
I'm not being racist towards any chickens here.
Keith, this is mad. This guy literally has fucking garlic sauce and chips and eggs. That's all he has.
It's not like that at all. I've tried Thai once, and that was only because it was at a Christmas deal when they booked a Thai restaurant. And
well, after this cross, you ain't trying anything Oriental for you.
I had a Chinese the other night. It was lovely. The fella that delivered it had gloves on and all. Goalkeeper. Now, in fairness, they were goalkeeper gloves, so I don't know how sanitary they were. He turned up with Peter Schmeichel's gloves on him and handed the bag over. But I've never tried an Indian. I've eaten Thai once. I like Chinese. Italian restaurants are fucking boring.
See what I'm saying?
You know,
see what I'm
It's the art of
I know
food
we're
races.
going to egg and chips, aren't we, Keith?
Egg
He's
and
swinging it
chips
round.
with garlic
I've tried
sauce, yeah.
Italian. I've tried
Avo
every race.
says,
I'm coming back to egg and chips.
Avo says, does Grizz realise that 2.25 litres is a big bottle of Coke and another little bottle of Coke on top? What
Can you
cupboard is
tell
he
them I
keeping in?
own
He's not
fast food
keeping it
outlets?
in a
I know.
cupboard. He's not keeping it in a cupboard. This is fucking planted on the wall like you know the hand sanitizers used to be, or the hand dryers in the toilet. This is screwed to the wall. You know what I mean? He just fucking hits a button and it just dispenses until he hits the button to stop. David Lennon is appalled by the looks of it that I've never tried in Indian. He said a green Thai curry is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I've never eaten it. Had to build a new
Get
kitchen
on
to
it.
put. Owen Burke reckons Grizz had to build a new kitchen to put the sticky barbecue sauce into a cupboard. Could you imagine if he does go to get a new kitchen, right? And they go, what presses do you want? And where do you want the dishwasher on? And he goes, well, hold on. Where's the sticky barbecue thing? Oh, you'll have to take that press out and we'll have to put this in. So it's insane. But I think
A freezer for the ice cream and a drawer for the
ice
sticky
cream.
barbecue.
For anyone who doesn't know the ice cream story, right? Look, we're here now, so we might as well tell it. So Grizz tells me, Grizz keeps showing me pictures of ice cream, like double decker, Aero, Magnum,
Ben and Jerry's.
there's loads of it. And I was like, where the fuck's he getting all this? So listen, me and Grizz's wife get on really well and we like laughing at Grizz. So I said, where the fuck's he getting all this ice cream from? She sent me a picture and I'm not messing. I wish I still had it. I don't think I have still on my phone. And it's literally 2 massive freezers of ice cream packed. And I said, what the fuck is going on? And Grizz's excuse was the shop down the road,
Co-op.
the co-op, was
It's not
closing
ordinary
down.
shop. It's a co-op.
It was well, it's a shop. You buy stuff in it. Was closing down, and he got a deal on this ice cream, so he bought it all, right? But about 3 months ago,
As you do.
about 3 months ago, he said to me, probably less. He said to me, I have to go down the co-op. They're doing that deal on the ice cream again. I said, hold on, are you telling me that the co-op closed? You bought all the ice cream off them. They reopened, right? And then they decided they're going to close again, so you're going down to buy all the ice cream. Because Grizz is fucking insane. He's probably my favourite person in the whole world. But if you're ever stuck for ice cream, Grizz, surely you have some of it left, have you?
Yeah, a couple of tubs.
Couple of tubs.
COVID, man, fucking lockdown.
This was like opening the back of a container, and instead of finding refugees in it, you just found ice cream from front to back. It was like a 40-foot lorry of ice cream, and Grizz just had a pipe going in with cold air on it. It was mad.
Oh, mad shit. Double decker ice cream, curly wurly ice cream. Mad shit to show you.
Unbelievable it was. It was one of my favourite stories. But it was absolutely brilliant. So Grizz is going with the sticky barbecue, Keith is going with the curry sauce, and I'm going with the garlic sauce. I've really enjoyed this show, talking about all those players and then having the crack at the end. Let me see. Dylan says I can picture he can picture, you know, the office water dispensers, Grizz, where the big bottles sit into the machine. just full of barbecue sauce.
The thing is, none of these ideas. Look, none of these ideas would work because I keep reiterating and I keep repeating. It's not a runny sauce; it's sticky barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
So you got to take your time with it.
Right. Okay. It's absolutely amazing. If nothing else, you've learned that instead of just going down and buying a bottle of sauce, Grizz goes out and buys
You can't get it.
Literally, Grizz.
Any pictures, any tweets, send them in, please. You cannot get sticky barbecue sauce in your conventional sauce bottle.
Grizz had to clear the boot of the car just to put this fucking sauce in the back to bring it home.
The type of container you hide body parts in.
There's a spare wheel. There's a spare wheel, a jack, a wheel brace, and a high vis and a safety kit sitting outside an Asda somewhere because Grizz found 2.25 litres of sticky barbecue sauce. Listen, it's been a brilliant show. Before we go though, as I always say, if you're on Twitter, please follow us. Please share the broadcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to us. Like the videos. Hit the bell icon so you know when we go live. Hot Mic is a new thing we're doing. Go to hotmic.io. Sign up there using your email and a password that you want to set up, and use the invite code LFCDT. Some of our shows will be on there. We are the only massive Liverpool podcast out there that's completely free. That's an absolute fact. And we'll always keep it that way, but we need your support. We need you getting in here, giving your opinions, like tonight, where your opinions were absolutely made the show from start to finish. Tomorrow, we're recording a show which is a little bit different. We are going to basically get trippers that have been from the start right to now, because over the last couple of weeks I've had a lot of people ask me, where's that fella gone, where's this fella gone, what are you about, when did you start? We get this all the time. We decided, look, we're going to get a crew together, and we're going to try to explain this from 2012-13 right up to the present day, the best stories, the best podcasts that they've done. I'm only doing it 3 years, but the best podcasts they've done, the best stories that's being told on podcasts, where it started, how it progressed. So far, I think Phil will be on, Andy will be on, Steve Daly will be on, Trev will be on, Neil O'Gray will be on. We're trying to get Paul Brennan, but he's extremely hard to get, simply because he keeps telling everybody he's dead. And I'll be on, and I know Ray Brady will be on, I know Paddy Lawson will be on. So there's loads of people on tomorrow night. We're recording tomorrow night. It will not be live, because we would be shut down if we went with that group of people and tried to do a live podcast. It would not end well. So we're going to record it, and we're going to release it for you probably tomorrow night or into Saturday morning. Okay, Keith, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Gav.
No problem at all. We don't have you anymore. You're just here.
Yeah.
You're just here. You're the co-host. Grizz, thanks a million. The barbecue sticky sauce. Just listen, there's no better value in the podcast world than Grizz can, as far as I'm concerned. Thanks a million for joining us, Grizz.
No problem, pal. No problem.
Good stuff. That's been the Fatback 4 Daily. I hope you enjoyed it. You've been absolutely amazing. All the people with their suggestions on players and stuff like that. As I said, that podcast will be recorded tomorrow night, and out as soon as possible for you. And look, we'll try to keep the content going. Stay at home, stay safe, look after your loved ones, and look, this will be over before you know it. And the main thing is, Liverpool will be champions. Over and out.